Pro NoCoders Office Hours, episode 276. I'm your host, Cameron, and I'm here with John and Sebastian today. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning in, we do this 6 times per week. We invite you, our audience, to bring bubble questions, bugs, features, requests, anything else like that. We can't promise answers, but we do promise you won't suffer alone, and we get it right most of the time. So we'll go ahead and get started. Sebastian, what are we helping you with today?
Hello. Hi. So I have, we can start with a question about domains, and I've been using the Bubble domain so far, and I launched a test version that I've been trying with a client. And now I wonder, I got a question from this client. Could you send the mails that you are sending on behalf of our domain so that it will show up clearly in our mailboxes that it's not spam? And you can use the SPF, the sender blah 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 network. We can add your domain, but is it possible to do it from your side? And I said, I'm going to check. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fair question.
Yeah. So then I wonder, should I change the domain to the domain that I want to use in the future first, and then fix the SPF thing, or what do I think about, and what do I need to think about? How do I do?
Good question. Yeah, that is what you would do. You would typically change the SPF settings to point to this domain. So when you do send any email, it recognizes where it's coming from. And, so it's exactly like they said. Now, in my experience, having set up multiple domains for different applications, if you do set up your domain name through the settings, domain/email, from that point forward, when the domain is active, any email sent will be from this domain or whichever domain you enter. So you shouldn't need to actually mess with any of the DNS settings or any of the SPF settings. It should automatically be taken care of on Bubble's end. So let's say you have an admin that sends an email. It should come from this domain's, this domain. So, and just double checking, that's what you're looking for, right? So where it comes from this website, and they know that it's not, you don't want it to say Bubble anymore, right?
No. But for example, if the company name would be Acme, for example, and that's one of the users of my software, Team Talks, but they want, I have multiple users, multiple different clients, or not today, but I will have, and can I have several domain names here, or no? I have one domain name, that's Team Talks, but
you want it to look like admin@teamtalks.com or Sebastian@teamtalks.com. Yeah. So I'm glad Callum joined us. Welcome, Callum. Callum, you may actually have some experience without having myself to go to a different application to showcase this. We are wondering, when you have your domain here, right? You have your own custom domain, the email settings will populate. What we're wondering is, in your email settings, are you able to specify that you want it to be sent from admin@domain.com and your name @admin.com and so on and so forth?
Good question. Shall we find out? I will just share my screen and show you guys what I can see. So I've got my SendGrid thingy. I've got my domain name. You need to set up SendGrid. So it just says sender name. Redirect all. If I do that, I don't know what that does. Sender name. So I just put that as in the I think that's just the name that comes up from the email address. So I assume it comes from Bubble. That's all I've got there.
Okay, wonderful. So using SendGrid, absolutely. I know that you can use Postmark and other email platforms, but at least in terms of SendGrid, it gives you the option to change the sender name. I believe also in SendGrid's...
I don't think I'm using SendGrid, actually.
Oh, is that right?
No, I know I put this in. I think, I'm going to stop sharing because it's slowing my bandwidth. I think Tonya rigged me up with her Postmark with the one that I've used because there's so many issues with SendGrid.
Oh, yeah.
Postmark's probably better.
And I do know that at least with SendGrid, you were able to specify, I believe inside the actual SendGrid settings, the sender's name. Postmark is definitely something that Tanya recommends, and I know that for pro NoCoders, that's like the service to use. Yeah. You should absolutely be able to change just about anything with Postmark. Okay. And so that would allow you then to have sender names be changed, basically.
Yeah. But because when I send emails from the bubble, from the workflow, I can specify that it should be a specific name or an email address. But you can see that it's not actually sent by that email address. So that Postmark additional app would make it so that I actually send via the email address that I'm.
Yeah. So,
but you'd have to connect the email address up, because otherwise you could just put any email address in and spoof their email address. So it's deliberately done like that, so that you can't just spoof someone else's email address. Because otherwise I could just put in your email address and make it seem like I'm sending from you. So it'll only send it from their one, but you can put whatever name in you want. If you do Postmark, you'd have to link the email address to it, so you could then send it from whatever it is. It's a bit of a pain, because I know some people would like to send dynamically from their own email address, but it's done on purpose so that you can't spoof other people's email addresses.
Yeah, and I'm taking a look at the API documentation here for Postmark, and you are able to change the from and the to. And so the from is obviously what we're focusing on here. So if you want it to be admin at your domain, or you want it to be Sebastian at your domain, you'll be able to do that.
Or team talks at acme.com. I mean, you could actually use the customer's email address as well.
Yeah, you absolutely should be able to do that.
You can use the customers only if they link
have to set it up their site.
If you send an email that they click on or something like that.
Yeah, they'd have to approve to be able to use the email address, but it is possible to use it, but they have to approve it first before you can do it.
This is Postmark.
That's correct. Yeah, we're looking at Postmark currently.
How do I set that up? Is there any good videos or any tutorials or earlier bubble sessions?
I do know that there is an earlier bubble session. Yes, it's going to be around episode like 230 or around there. I'll ask Tanya for you. I know that we have had in the past a user, one of our other coaches, set up Postmark entirely from the beginning to the end. So he'd be able to show you that.
Right.
So if you're looking for an easy way to do it, again, it's just Crash. But if you do email for Canvas, I know it says email for Canvas, but you don't actually have to use Canvas for it. That covers Postmark and SendGrid all in one plugin, I think.
Yeah. What email for Canvas?
Email for Canvas, yeah, it's in the plugin store for Bubble.
Great.
And it's by AirDev, so there should be some good documentation on it on how to set it up as well.
Great.
That's it, yeah. Great. Should be to help you out with that. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Sebastian. Not a problem. John, we're going to hop on to you. We're going to see what you need help with.
Okay. Let me share my screen. It's good that Callum's here as well, because we might need multiple brain cells on this. So
I can't offer that, I'm afraid.
So I'm trying to work out the logic of this. So in this screen here, what this does is, and you guys are going to be fed up of seeing this stuff soon, but it goes through and says, okay, here's the keyword, etc., all from Google's Search Console API, blah, 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 blah. How many clicks did it get? How many impressions? And this is for the last 6 days. And then this rank change is saying, okay, has that keyword moved up or down? So in the last 6 days compared to the previous 6 days. So this works fine. And just in case it causes any problem, well, it won't actually, but you can go in here and you will get things like new keyword. So if that keyword only appeared in the last 6 days and wasn't in the previous 6 days, you obviously, it wasn't there before. So now it's a new keyword. So that works fine. And what I want to do, and I was playing with it this afternoon, I haven't put a huge amount of time into it, but I'm starting to get quite confused, is up here. So what I want to do is say, well, okay, how many keywords have moved up. So effectively, what is the count of the positive numbers here? Yeah. So anything greater than 0.
So, okay. We're just trying to take a total of how many basically are green in this case.
Yeah. Now, this gets a bit complicated because I've got lots of list shifters and all sorts going on. But if I explain, so this is the statement that produces that number here. It calculates this result, whether it's positive, whether it's gone up or down. So it basically says, okay, get me the data from the previous time period. So that is saying greater than 30 days, because I've named it stupidly. That will be greater than whatever the time period I've specified. So 7 days, 6 days, whatever. But I've called it greater than 30 just to confuse everyone. Flatten JSON, ignore that part. That's just how this data gets returned. Then filtered, which says, okay, the keyword from here needs to contain the parent group's keywords. So effectively it's saying, give me the old keywords and make sure they match to the keyword that is here. So it will take Shopify split description from the previous period, say, does that match this one? And if so, give me its position, so its rank. In this case, give me the first item, and then take that, then take away the old keywords, the new difference. I'm not explaining this very well. That works fine. So I thought, right, well, what I'll do is I'll copy this logic. I will paste it up in here. And I'll just say, right, give me all those where it's greater than 0. And then that's where it all went wrong. So I've currently got this where I've started to say, well, I don't think I can do a conditional in here. So I can't say greater than 0, even if that's the right approach. So I've started to try and put it in here, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so off the bat, one thing that I'm noticing is we're looking at first items instead of all items. And I think that might be one of the things. We're looking at each item's position, but we're looking at the first item that's greater than 0.
Yeah, but you see that works here.
Yeah, and okay. Can you go back to your design so we can see it, or your preview page so we can see it live?
Is anyone's preview page not working at the moment? Because I'm getting an oh no thing coming up when I try and refresh my preview page.
I can refresh this to see if it times out or something.
The status page says it's all up, but I'm getting, oh no, we're having some temporary technical difficulties.
No, I've just refreshed this and it's fine.
Okay, cool.
So it's this we're on about. It's give me the count of the positive numbers in this column.
Oh. Now, we're not trying to look at the count of the positive numbers, or rather, we are trying to look at the total count of all the positive numbers. But I want to make sure that I'm understanding that the rank change is looking at really just the amount of change for that keyword respective to its cell, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and so we're not really trying to look at the count or the change of each cell. We're trying to look at just how many cells have green, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're headed in the right direction with the logic that you're trying to implement, but I think that we're going to have to change some things up a little bit. So the same logic would apply where we do need to still look at how many have changed, right? How many are greater than 0 in this case.
Yeah.
Now, we'd want to do each item, but we'd also then want to sum it. So we're looking at the logic of what has changed of each item. And then in my brain, the sum function would be the way that we would then display how many altogether have changed. And we would, in this case, so for 10 rows, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'd have 7 as the count in total. Would we specify the sum?
Yeah, I mean, it will just, you're right. Just to be clear, this is paginated. So there's actually 462 records. So you'll get whatever proportion of 462 were positive.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Well, yes. It is a lot. Let's go back up to where that number is. Okay, so we're looking at the summary page is greater than 30, filtered by the position first item. Okay. And then we're subtracting. And refresh my memory, what are we subtracting from this?
Oh, so yeah, it gets confusing. So this without going too detailed, this is basically the prior period's keyword data.
Okay.
And then this is the new period's keyword data. So the one that says list shifter KW fixed Google data is the latest version, and this is the prior version.
Okay. Let's do, well, now, first item is greater than 0. So, and the result that we get there, what is the result? It's just showing 0, right, on the preview page?
Yeah, which is what I put here. So effectively, it seems to be doing nothing.
I see that. Okay. Do me a favor. Let's use that debugger tool. Let's look at that 0 and see what the conditional is returning. And it must be returning nothing if it's not overriding that 0, but I am still curious. So yeah, it's not meeting that condition. Yeah, let's click on that and sort of dissect it. Just see what's going on. So on the right-hand side for that evaluator.
Yeah.
Let's click on position, or let's click on filters rather. We should get a list of items. Yep.
Yep, that looks right. Yeah.
Okay. And then now we're going to click on the position. It's not returning anything in the position field here.
Mm.
And so then we're just subtracting the old list from the new list is ultimately what this is.
Right. So that one's actually returning. Look. So they are the positions for the new data. So it does. I didn't realize you could do this.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing ever. I use it all the time.
Yeah, it looks like that's causing me the problem then, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're taking the filtered position. Now, when we click on filters again, we should...
I might know why. Hang on. Because I think what I'm doing is I'm not telling it. Oh, no, I am. Okay.
Maybe it should be filtered than each item's position.
Yeah, if that lets me do it. So where is it? Filtered. No, it's not going to let me do it, is it? Oh, here we go. Each item's position. No, so it just changes it back to position for some reason.
It could be a bubble bug, if I had to guess, which means you're probably going to have to delete a bit of that. But before we do that, take that position and change it to any other. Let's say keyword, each item's keyword, or anything of the sort. See if does that change it? It does change it. Okay. Oh, you can undo that, and we could just bring it back to where it was. Filtered position. I am curious though, because that is weird where it seems to remove the each items part.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you can do is copy this expression and then delete it all the way up until this point, just to see if there's nothing else after. Does it actually allow us to change it? Okay.
No.
That's the weirdest thing. I wonder if it's because
it knows that's a list of numbers.
Okay.
So I wonder if it's the filtering that's causing it the problem. Because that would bring it. That would bring it to an individual item. So I wonder if that's the problem.
Could be recognizing that it is an individual item, and then we're just like specifying again that it's an individual item, or rather that it's all of the item. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we're just trying to sort of solidify the logic of subtracting the lists.
Yeah, I wonder if. So should we remove this and see if it then lets me do each item's position, see if it's the filter that's causing the problem?
Yeah, why not?
Let me just try and remember what this says. Oh, yeah, right, I can remember that. Right. Yeah. So now it does let me do each item's position.
Now, would you be able to filter now after each item's position? Filtered by whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So now it's a constraint rather than.
Then you'd probably have to intersect this list versus the other list.
Mm.
So you'd be intersecting, you'd basically just be displaying the items that match between the lists, right? Isn't that how this would work?
Yeah. So change filtered for intersect.
Yeah, so now we'd be doing a search for the old list, intersect with, do a search for the new list. And then each one of those search fors would have the constraints that we'd be looking for. And then it would only return a list of the keywords where they match on both of those lists.
They were doing a bit of renaming really to make this a bit easier for people to understand. I've got used to what they all mean. Intersect, yeah. Okay. And then, so now I want, so now I want though is the position, if it will let me do it. Because now, so that should intersect the two lists to give me the same, but what I now need to be able to say is, okay, so now you've matched the keyword, but now I want back from that the position, which it's not going to let me do.
Can you do a sorted by? Try to do a sorted and then sort it by position? It doesn't look like it's going to give us that option in the sorted.
No. Okay. I'm glad it's not just me being stupid, because I've been puzzling with this for a while, thinking, can't quite wrap my head around the logic for it. Seems easy because you can see the results here in this thing. So it's just grabbing all the positives there. Give me a count of them.
Well, I wonder if we'd be able to bypass the logic, right? And actually set states on the page. Well, no, because that's technically what we're doing with this. We're adding like another data attribute that says if it's positive, then we mark it as such and then count all of the attributes that are positive. I'm just trying to think of like a roundabout way that we don't have to necessarily use this kind of logic and we can sort of implement something else. But I mean, that's surely a way to do it. Probably not the best way to do it, especially if we can use math and logic operators to determine. But so we're taking the old list, subtracting it from the new list. And what this ultimately is going to do is going to show us positive growth for these keywords, the way that your logic is set up.
Yeah.
So the intersect function still could absolutely be used to determine this, right? So we'd be looking at the lists and saying, do these keywords, intersect? Do they match from one list to the next?
Yeah.
And then so we're taking the position, but no, yeah, we need the position to determine how many are greater than 0.
Exactly. We try this and see if it gives me a different thing. Let's shift to fix the latest. List. Each item's keyword. Get rid of sorted for a minute. Right. Okay. Latest original IC title keyword.
Then let's do let's do count. It's going to give us a number, right? So it probably isn't exactly what we want, but this will at least give us a number of how many are matching.
Yeah,
no.
That'll give it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just seeing if maybe then we'd be able to specify within that. No. Okay. So The intersect function does give us a number and gives us a count.
Yeah, but that's going to give us a count of the difference in the number of keywords.
That's not necessarily what we're going for.
No.
So we have two lists. I'm trying to think here.
Although
The difference.
I wonder if it'll let us ignore that. It won't, will it? Because now it's a conditional. I wonder if we...
Well, what if we do the intersect, right? And no, we did sorted, but what if we now do filtered? Would it allow us to filter these keywords? Because again, we're being returned a list. I'm wondering if now we're able to actually look inside this list and filter it by the position. It's just me thinking out loud. It might not be exactly what we're even going for, but I am wondering.
Yeah. No, it's constraint again.
Well, what if we do constraint where we specify it's greater than 0? Is that possible? Where each item...
Each item's keyword. No, because all that will do is give you, it will basically say, it won't do the positive, but we'd have to work out the positive bit, wouldn't we? Let's try it.
Doesn't seem like we're given that as a response. We're given a yes or no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
let me ponder on it overnight, and let's see if Sebastian or anyone else has got any more questions while I ponder over this one, because it could. I think this is perhaps just a case of going round and round a bit to work out which bit of logic actually works, isn't it?
John, I know exactly when you're going to figure this out. You're going to be lying in bed. It's going to be 2 a.m. and it's going to be boom. That's why.
Yeah. It happened to me the other day about something else. I was like, I've just realised what I've done wrong.
I do it all the time. I'll wait. My girlfriend will be next to me. She's like, Callum, what are you doing? It's 2 a.m. and I'll be there on my laptop going, I figured out what the bug is.
That's how it works. Absolutely. Well,
right. So yes, let's definitely there.
Keep us in the loop. Well, we're in, and of course, if you need any additional help, join Monday. Not a problem there.
Yeah.
It's a bit late for you actually on Monday, I think, right? Because we do it at 8:30 p.m. MST.
We're all right because the Monday session, so it's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays that are at 6 p.m. our time. UK.
Yep, that's right. We do have 11 p.m. Or 11 a.m. session. That's right.
Yeah. Yes. For you, it'll be the 11 a.m. one. Yeah.
You're Scotland, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yes.
We are on the same time zone as England.
Yeah, about 100 years behind, but sure.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Callum, we're gonna proceed with you now. I know that you joined. You had some API questions, right?
Yeah, let's leave them for like a private session because that's going to take way too much time. I don't want to take up too much time. I have one question, and then I want to help Adam with something.
Okay.
I did a massive fuck up like a day ago, and I need to move my app back to where it was to copy and paste something with workflows, and then reinstate it in my current app. If I go back, copy the thing with workflows, can I then restore it back to now and paste it?
So as long as you haven't changed or deleted any of the data records that those workflows are referencing, then yeah, you can. You might still be presented with errors where you're going to have to specify, like you're going to have to re-click, make sure that points to the right area. But yeah, I've done that before. It does work.
So you can revert backwards and then revert forwards in time again.
That's right. Yeah. One of the things that I've done that plenty of times when I've made some mistakes too. One thing that I would consider doing is that I would copy whatever workflow that you need to, and then in a new bubble document, just paste it there so you don't actually lose it. And then, and that's just for security's sake. But totally. You could absolutely do that. I've done it before.
Sweet. Cool. Adam, do you want to just talk me through your issue? It was about the uploader, yeah?
Sure. I was just looking for something that essentially could be a good image and video compressor, just something that's going to work well with a social media type platform. Also, just trying to not have something run me a ton of money, and Upload Care is kind of like, I've talked to them and I was like, so like what, just for my use case in particular, like I'm not doing like a little document uploader once every, 20 days. It's like people are going to be uploading multiple things. I want to reference this with like their profile pictures, with their cover photos, everything. If I'm going to use it, I'm going to commit to it. And basically that pricing ends up being like $475 to $500 a month just to even have that functioning, right? And they were like,
No, that's not right. I'm using Upload Care, and that's not right. Let
Okay.
me show you exactly how I've got it. I'll show you my Upload Care account, and I'll show you how I've got it set up in Bubble.
And how many users and traffic and stuff do you have?
I mean, I've only got like 100 users at the moment, but it's like I'm using. So this is my application. I've got 965 files on here at the moment, and some of them are image, some of them video. I'm on $20 a month, or I haven't exceeded their limit yet.
Okay.
All
right. And how does that work with like image processing and stuff? So do you have like profile pictures and like what's your type of use case?
So it's a social network again. So let's go to my profile. Where's my profiles? I'm obviously signed up as Elon, who is at some point going to be buying Twitter. So here's my profile. I've got a bit of JavaScript running. So there's a little element behind this profile picture that I'm doing. When I click on this group, trigger the BDK native uploader. When I click on that, it takes you here to Upload Care. So this entire thing will show up on the screen regardless of what's there. It shows up in front of everything. I go choose local file. Let's just take the upcoming logo. There we go. I can, at the moment, it's 1-to-1 because I've set it at that because I want everyone to have a square one, which will be rounded off. But you can choose the different things for it. Apply there. If I want to rotate it, I can rotate it. I can, put blur on it, whatever I want to do, and then add that there. It'll upload it and update. And now Elon's profile picture is the circle. Way that works is we edit data and then new profile picture. It's behind here. So if I hide that, you'll see here, this is the upload widget.
Yep.
It's called upload widget. You can set, so where should people be able to pull the data from? Should it be a file? Should it just be from camera? Should they be able to upload a URL? Should they be able to access it through Facebook, photos, everything? You can set minimum and maximum number of files, include the preview step. Again, so here you can shrink before uploading, so you can shrink the size as well. Cropping as well. You can also set the maximum file size as well, so no one's uploading like massive files or anything if you don't want them to. As I said, I've got a bit of JavaScript that automatically clicks on that triggers it, goes straight into my Upload Care, and then that's done using. Is it the BDK? I know it's BDK, but I don't know if it's a separate one. There you go. So it's Uploader BDK. So you'll have to be using the BDK native platform for it.
And I just want to be clear. I use the BDK native platform for mobile. For web, I should be using the regular Upload Care, right?
Given that I was able to trigger that using a web platform here, it works on here as well. So it was created by BDK. It's not a BDK specific thing. So this is obviously isn't using BDK because this is on web and it still works. So I'd use it for everything.
All right.
And then just literally just plug in your API key there, get yourself on a plan, and then away you go.
Okay, I appreciate that. So can you show me the profile photo that like you uploaded, for example, just now, so I can see what it's even referencing? There
you go. So I've got the URL there.
No, I don't mean in Upload Care. I mean in Bubble.
Yes, of course. So data. It was public profile.
So you save the URL as a text or an image in your database flow?
Yeah. Good question. So it's a URL. So with Bubble, when you where are we looking? Sorry, public profile. And then Elon, Warren Buffett.
I love it.
Jack Dorsey, Lewis Hamilton, Tonya. Oh, here we go. Hey, I'm the real Elon Musk, I promise. There we go.
And he lives in Bromley.
Oh, yeah. You don't know that.
Obviously.
He says he's in Texas, but he just comes into Bromley every now and again. I see him down the Mackie D's all the time. So the profile picture is still an image, but the thing about Bubble is nothing is an image, right? So
it's all URL.
Yeah, everything is a URL. Even if it will show up as an image, it's just a URL to an S3 or a URL to an upload care. So it doesn't matter what it is as long as it references an image. There are some plugins which don't like upload care. So there's a few like slider ones and carousel ones that won't work with upload care URLs. But generally, any image, like the Bubble image element, will display an upload care one or anything like that. So yeah, that's what it looks like. But that's stored in upload care.
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No worries. Any questions or issues getting it sorted, let me know. And do you want the bit of JavaScript I use so that you can do it? So
yeah, absolutely. Like if you're up to share that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Cam, because Cam, I know that you know my use case very intimately. So do you think upload care is a good option? Tanya's been talking about it for months.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to take away data from the Bubble database and make it lighter for you, I couldn't see any downside truly, especially if it looks like you're able to set and maximum and minimum file sizes.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the ability to edit images, the way they look, crop. So cropping was the big issue I had, because Bubble will crop it to center. But if you want to crop it and your picture's slightly to the right, you can't do that without building a whole image editor. Upload care comes with everything built in. That's and what great. I do there is that's the bit of JavaScript. All you need to change is that bit there. That bit there references the upload care widget, which is there. And then if I go to the bottom, ID attribute. So just drop it on the page, add the ID attribute, and then whatever it is, put it in there. And I'll drop that code in the chat for you. So that will trigger a click on anything. So any element, button, text you want to trigger it on, that'll work.
Awesome. So we covered photos. Have you used this on video? And I'm thinking about like having a consistent uploader because I want people to upload resumes and videos. So like I just want everything to be the same.
Works with everything.
Great.
Yeah, you can set. So the only configurability on the upload care thing is image only, I believe. So so accept images only. So I've done that for that. You can't I'm sure there is some way you can do it in Bubble saying don't upload this to upload care unless it has the file name with, what is it, .docs or something like that for a CV or something. But you can't do that in upload care. The only thing you can specify is either image only or anything.
Okay, got it. Cool. Thank you.
Very powerful.
But yeah, I think you also had another question, Adam, right, for Cameron?
Yeah, this will hopefully be a fast one, but Cameron, so do you remember how we were working on the, wait, I'm going to prioritize questions. I'm going to switch that question right now. So as far as I'm working on another project at the same time, I'm toggling between two, and one of them, I'm essentially trying to figure out how to connect multiple Shopify stores. So essentially I want people to be able to create a profile, like a user profile, and then underneath each user's profile, they can connect one to like X amount of Shopify stores. And I know that there are calls that I can do with like make.com, but there are a bunch of plugins as well. Essentially, I already went out to Zero Code and they told me that it's not like their plugin particularly works with one store. And I'm wondering, is there a way for me to use API calls of some sort to allow this to work so that a user can control multiple stores from this platform? What I'm really trying to do is have a user be able to put all like their listings from one of the stores or per store on this platform.
Yeah, so I can understand why those plugin developers only limit to one. So there's different kinds of apps for Shopify. There's private apps, there's custom apps, and there's public apps. Basically, you need a public app if you're going to be letting anybody link their Shopify store and have it associated with an account or multiple accounts in this case. What you're looking to do is, I want to say it's feasible, but it's pretty complex. And that's being that you have to, I don't want to say super complex. You have to create an Oauth screen. So, like when you see a sign in with Shopify store or whatever. So you would have this under that account, like you were saying. When somebody clicks it, they'd be led to whichever store that they have specified. So you'd have like an input field. And what they do, of course, they would have to be an admin to this store. They'd be able to log into this store. And then using API calls, absolutely, you'd be able to pull store data. And you could then specify which store this data belongs to, referencing the current user and so on and so forth. And with a series of drop downs or check boxes or anything of the sort, you'd be able to display this multiple stores. The thing is, though, you do need to have it as a public app, it does go through a Shopify app review process.
So you mean my app would have to be public, or the app that I'm working on, it would have to be public, right? Not the like Shopify. I'm just confused on when you say the public app, it has to be a Bubble public app, right?
No, it has to be a public Shopify app. So they sort of go hand in hand, right? Because you're building this app on Bubble.
Yeah.
And so the Shopify component would need to be a public app. So this would be listed on the Shopify marketplace. So we would call it, let's say, Circle Shopify or something of the sort. So when a user is directed,
this is not for Circle. This is a completely different thing. But
yes. Okay, cool. Yep. Well, yeah. So the same concept, though, you would have it as a public app on the Shopify store. So when a user clicks on it, what would end up happening is that user would be presumably signed into their Shopify store. They'd be led to the Shopify authorization screen, where then they say on their Shopify profile, yes, we're letting this Bubble app communicate with our store. And then it would redirect them back to Bubble. And then they'd be able to do what they want to do with whatever API calls that you've set up. So if it's get a list of items, if it's get a list of customers, so on and so forth, you'd be able to create that using your API calls. And you would be able to do this with multiple, assuming that, again, because one of the things that you have to do when you're creating an application is you have to determine where you're sending this person with a redirect link. And so they would enter their Shopify store and say an input field, they'd click link, and then everything else would be pretty straightforward, where they'd be brought to that Shopify store. They'd be given that pop-up screen that says, would you like us to verify this app, and so on and so forth. So the question or the answer to your question is yes, it is doable.
Okay, where do I start?
Yeah, definitely. You go to developer.shopify, I think. Here, let me.
Partner.shopify, I think it is.
Partner
account to build the app.
Can I just ask Adam? So you've built a Shopify store and you were able to bring in all the products into Bubble and sell them through Bubble.
Essentially, there is. I don't know if you've heard of Make.com, right? It's Integratrom or Integramat, or it used to be one of those. But essentially, it does API calls, and they have a thick amount of API calls that go to Shopify. So you can essentially trigger from one. You can create an API call that is like get listing, create order, get customer information, and you could all do it from a Bubble app. And it's just this API call list that they have is incredible. It's probably like 50 that you can do.
Okay, we are going to need to speak at some point because that's exactly how I want to do my shop. And I could not find a way to connect Shopify to Bubble and display my product. So let's talk at some point. But go ahead.
I've created a Shopify app that lists. You're able to enter a collection ID, and then it loads your collection ID. I have it specifically where I upload a bunch of files that match the collection items SKUs. And so if the SKU matches, it links that image to that product, and then I upload it. But there are a bunch of different API calls where you can process payments, you can process credit cards, and then you can send invoices and so on and so forth. Shopify does have a pretty extensive API documentation or API library, which would allow you to do this. So if you need any other assistance, let me know. I'd be able to help you out with that too.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. It saved me a lot of time with one of my clients local to me. The idea is I take a bunch of pictures and I have to upload them. And I was doing this for like 3 or 4 months, one by one, going through a Shopify store, opening up the file explorer, clicking the file, clicking upload. And it took so much time. I said, I can make this an app. And it's super doable. And it's not that complex, actually, setting up the authorization for Shopify.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look at it. I've been doing that for the, so I'm showing stock prices in my app for the FTSE 350, which is 350 different companies. And I could not find anywhere a list of images of all of their logos. So I've been doing exactly the same thing, finding every single company's logo, downloading it, uploading it to Bubble. I'm about halfway through at the moment.
Yeah, that's a process.
As far as logos go, you can get Clearbit. Clearbit can be a little bit expensive, but have you heard of Clearbit?
I've heard of it. I don't know what it does though.
So essentially when I first started on Bubble like 18 months ago, this developer came in and basically was like, here, I'm going to show you how you can get a company's logo just really easily. And like, he just set this thing up in my app where it was through Clearbit, and it's a plugin already in Bubble. So if you have a company name, you can reference a company name. It will get the logo. It will find it. Even, it doesn't matter how big the company is. Like if you just have the name of it or the website, it will find the logo. It's crazy.
Again, I will have to speak to you about that.
Yeah. Okay, but Cam, so you're saying that it's first step is go to the developer Shopify area, sign up, all that stuff. As far as an OAuth connection goes, is this something that is gonna have to be different from forgetting the name of it, Pathfix? Is this gonna have to be very different from Pathfix?
I think I think it's simpler. I think it's more simple than Pathfix. I think Pathfix is awesome. Being that I've used it only a handful of times, especially only in your use case, I found actually doing what Shopify specifies easier, just following the steps and being like, okay, if we do this, then we send them here and we click these buttons and do that. So it is different. I think it's more simple. I think Pathfix is awesome, but I think that you could find it a little easier to do it all yourself. So I wanted to show you this. This is the application where I have, this was made on the old editor, so it's not responsive, but you'll see what we end up doing is we enter the Shopify, the store right here. Now, what's silly here is I wanted to make this a public app. I haven't yet. So you'll see what we're doing is we're taking their application, and in a perfect world, we would be passing this information into the link that we send them to, which is here. Instead, I have it hard coded because, it's not a public app, but oops, we do create a new store. So all of this stuff is not super necessary, but this part this is where we're actually going to send them to. So they actually can install this application. You would take your client ID for your application that you create in the partner.shopify. And then the signature is typically I believe it's a random code. It's been a little bit since I've actually done this, but this basically says to Shopify, yeah, this information is what we're looking for. Yes, we will authorize this individual. Okay. And then from that point forward, basically it then authorizes this domain, because inside your Shopify.partner, you're going to specify a redirect URI. You're going to specify the actual domain of where your application is. And then honestly, past that, the application set up and you've been authorized. This is for a custom app, so it is only able to be used on one store at a time. But the process really isn't that much different. You would just make some of this information dynamic versus what I've done and made it hard coded.
Okay.
But yeah, it honestly is super simple. And then what I will show you here is we have, let's go to where you enter your collection ID and you discover products. So this is one API call. This is your collection ID. And then when you click this button, what it does is goes through a couple different things. But what we do is we take your access token that you're passed, that you get when you basically authorize this application on the redirect page. Very similar to Google, where you have a code, you use a URL parameter, and then it gives you a Shopify access token. But then you take the collection ID and it returns it all here and gives you a list of all of the items. And then you do have pagination as well, where you do need to, like, especially if it's over, I think 100 products, 250 products, something of the sort, where then you basically just say, go to the next page, and it does that. The next thing though, is that when you're given because you're given a list of items, so you're just given a big chunk. If it loads. Oh, because we're in the develop, we need to go to the live database here. So it gives you this, just one big old chunk of information. These are all individual product IDs. So what we then have to do is we have to break them into a list. And that's why I have individual products as one of the record types or the database types here. And it just keeps on going. But you can see that that's sort of like the process. You can bring it in as one big list, but then you need to separate them.
Okay, so you're saying my first step is sign up with Shopify partner, and then the OAuth connector just kind of, I guess I'll just come back and we'll go from there once I have my information.
Yeah. Pardon me. But yeah, sign up for the Shopify partner. You'll specify your client, or you'll be given a client ID and so on. And inside the Shopify documentation for a custom app, it's here. Let me actually Shopify custom app API documentation, because it's pretty concise. And so this is for a custom app. Again, slightly different than what you want to do as a public app, but it's not too different. You'll specify your scopes, but let me see if I could actually find the steps, because it is pretty clear. Where would we go? App types. Let's go to custom apps. Create and install. I guess this is, here we go. So we create the app. Now, honestly, though, you want the public app. So let's actually focus on that. Public apps. Oops. This is going through the app review process. That's not it. I think you have to start with a, let's see.
And I just want to clarify here. I am not making an app within Shopify. Shopify, you can't make an app within. You're making the app in Bubble and then telling Shopify what it is. Yes.
That's exactly it. Yep, that's exactly it. So yes, get the API credentials.
All right. I'll make that my step this weekend, and then I'll come back next week and go from there.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be through here. It's going to be in the develop apps through your developer.shopify account.
Okay.
There is somewhere, and it might be on the developer.shopify site itself, where it has a bunch of information on the calls to make and so on and so forth. Let's see.
Would you recommend using something like webhooks like make.com has, or no?
I like doing everything myself because it's more granular. You have a lot more control over everything, fine tuning and so on.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, that's just the way that my brain works. I think if you want to go in terms of simplicity, in terms of like how fast you can set it up, you may want to use a third-party service. Yeah, you absolutely may want to use a third-party service. I like doing everything myself, again, just because I have more fine-tuned control over it. But I think either or is going to work for you, especially if that third-party service is, they've been around and people use them. Hey, what harm is it going to do? They're trusted. Why not go with them? But I like doing everything myself personally. So,
and if you're saying it's fast and easy to do yourself, then I'll try myself. And if I want to bang my head against the wall after 3 days, then I'll go to the service.
Yeah, I think that with Shopify specifically, it is one of the easier applications to set up, where you're given the access token, and then you can use that access token and make whatever API calls you want. It's really not like Google, where you have to pass in an access token, get a refresh token, and do 40 other steps for it to work. Shopify is pretty simple, to be completely honest.
Okay. All right. So I will start getting my codes. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, just ring me if you need any assistance. Love to help you.
Thanks.
All right, let's sign out of here. Sebastian left. We have John. We can go back to you, John. Do you have any other questions we may be able to help you with?
No, I'm fine, thanks, because we're nearly
right.
timing out, so I'm fine.
Yep, no worries. Callum, yourself?
Yeah, should we try and snack up an API?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and look over it. What did you want to start with?
Good question. Because there wasn't exactly a massive list, was there?
No, it's not large by any means.
No, not at all. Just real estate, flights, food, public transport, education. All right. So, look, let me share the wheel.
Sure. Yep.
So here's the wheel. There's a few missing for some reason. Not sure why that is. They show up on here. So all of those ones are done. Food haven't started. Travel is going to be a pain in the arse, so I'm not going to bother with that one yet. Property is probably more of a difficult one, which is the easiest. So what have I got missing? I have got missing. Come on. when it loads, right? So my marketplace, I'm going to speak to someone about, as we said, with the Shopify API, so I can do everything. I basically want to be able to set up a Shopify site and manage everything through there, which looks like I probably can do. Do you know any like auto marketplace ones? So I guess Auto Trader. Have you ever set up an Auto Trader API?
No, but let me look at it right now.
And which were the ones you said you had done? Let's start with those. Booking.com. You've done that one, right?
Lachlan's done booking.com, but I took a look at it and it doesn't seem too complicated. So let me pull that up. We can actually focus on that one because they use basic auth, which is fairly simple.
So I basically like the start. So the start for my site is I know the one we should start with, flights, Google Flights. We said you've done Google before.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's do that one. So the idea behind my platform is I'm going to start just as informational. So flights, let's just get flight information, prices, and then send them to the site where they can book. Holidays, let's show them holidays and then send them to the site where they can book. Eventually, I want to do it so that they can then pay for holidays and take commission, pay for flights. But at the moment, I just want it so the information's there. So Google Flights API.
So it, from my research, it is QPX Express. Let me see if I can find the API for this.
Yeah.
Well, we like the first Google search, said sarcastically. Google will pull its QPX Express API in April 2018, cutting off
did
searches.
see that, yes.
Okay, let's see. There have to be alternatives because there's a lot of websites that use flight trackers and so on and so forth. So
Skyscanner was another one that I had a look at, but and again, I've been trying to use Rapid API, but I've just not had much luck with it.
Okay, I'm looking at the Flights API and we have to request access. What?
I know, I hate those ones. Like, why? I mean, there's Kayak, maybe. Kayak API.
I'm looking at, let's see, duffel.com.
Oh, hang on. Let me show you. Let me share my screen again. So I've just gone on kayak.com.
Yep.
To use the API, copy and paste the following script tag in the bottom of the markdown file. Okay, that all looks very complicated.
I'm going to drop off, guys. I'll see you on Monday, probably.
Have a wonderful one. Yeah. Enjoy your Friday.
Thank you.
Oh, enjoy the bank holiday.
Yeah. Same to you. Bye.
Okay, maybe this one isn't the most.
Here on the help widget, let's see, flight data. Wow, why can't they make it simple, huh?
You'd have thought there would be just like a simple search API for flights, given how much data's out there.
Yeah, truly, huh?
And it's all public data because all of the companies have to go through public data channels to be able to sell their flights. So
let me see here. I actually have a friend that made secrettravel.com, which is, I think it's
Secret Escapes.
Well, it's secret. I think it's secrettravel.co actually. Yeah, secrettravel.co, which is it pulls in a bunch of different flights and so on and so forth. One of the things that I can do, if you'd like, I could reach out to him and see what the search engine he uses is, because this is all about flights and all about cheap flights. So it's a little different than, of course, looking at all flights, but it takes into consideration flights and hotels, and is able to pull all this information in automatically. So it does.
I mean, definitely. So my app has also got a bit called Leisure, which I'm going to put in hotels and escapes. So yeah, if you can do both, then I can connect it across both places, which is fantastic.
Oh, let me see if I can look in his, where would he be calling this API? He works for Google now, actually. He works for Google taking pictures for people, which is a crazy job, you'd think, right? Taking pictures for Google. And that's something. Like
stock photos or for Google Maps or what for?
Yeah, like stock photos, basically. He just goes around, gets paid to take photos of things and places. And
well, I guess they've got to fill up, because I mean, a lot of Google images is just taken up with copyrighted images, which people can't use. So I guess they need some stock images themselves to make their, I guess they don't need to make their site valuable, it already is, but yeah.
I'm
Oh, that's
taking
interesting.
the kayak widget that you had sent me, or that you had at least looked on screen.
So the weird thing is, Google Flights. If you type in Google Flights, still exists. You can still search flights by doing travel and then flights. So I don't know whether it's just the API they've depreciated, or if that they changed their mind on it.
Yeah, they've completely removed themselves. They said nope, nobody else can use this. So I know that we could look at flight statuses. Don't know if I want to do that. We want to look at.
So I mean, I've got the whole UI built. I just need to do from here to here on this date, returning on this date, and pull up flight data. But it seems weird that Google would stop people doing it, because that's kind of not their business model, is it? Their business model is we have the data, share it with everyone else, and sell it to them.
Yeah, take over the world, one step at a time. I am looking at flightapi.io. If you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm seeing here is that it does include, it looks like, a hotel API as well, but getting
hotel API, I'll probably use Expedia or something like that. So
it does look like there's a free plan where you get 1,000 requests per 7 days. What is the pricing like for you? Well, 100,000 requests at $99 a month ain't bad. 30,000 requests for the $50 plan. So the free plan, it doesn't look like the light plan actually gives you the flight price. But for the standard, it does. Now, in terms of documentation, I imagine here, let's do this together.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid. I mean, I've been trying to avoid APIs that get you to pay up front. Like, oh, we can't, like, this one, like, we won't tell you how much the flight is unless you pay us. Like, I'd be happily accepting of you only get 100 API calls a month or something just to test it. But I really don't want to be paying, like, there's a few of them where I, paid for it and then realize it doesn't do what I want to do, and it's a bit of a waste of money. But hey, if it works.
Here, let me stop sharing my screen for just a moment. I went to spam. Interesting. Okay.
Good start.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where we will look. Bang. Okay, so we have a 30-day. It looks like we have 100 request credits. We are given an API key, which is awesome. Sample one-way trip. Sure. Let's send this through real quick. Let's go to their documentation. So your API key here is what it's saying.
So if it's saying your API key here, is that saying that it just sends it in the URL then, rather than as a separate part of the call?
That's right. Yeah. So we will do this. I think it's a get, right? My API key. We can just do that. Make it easy.
Why would you do it that way rather than just putting it in the URL, given that your API is never going to change?
You absolutely could. There's no real reason. I like using dynamic variables, to be completely honest.
Okay.
But yeah, you could just replace it and just do that too. It's totally
okay. Cool.
Totally
no, I was
fine.
just wondering if there was a reason why you did it that way specifically, or if it was.
Oh yeah, no worries. But our date has passed, it says so. Let's do 22. That date hasn't passed. So, are there any flights with this particular date from LAX? And it does look like it. And so we are given, oh my goodness.
That's a lot of data.
We're given 39 flights, I believe is what it said. So it tells us the departure time, the duration of how long this is. So we're going from LHR to LAX is what we're saying here for that particular day. And then it lists all the flights. And it looks like it also lists the layovers and how long that's going to take.
One second, if I just share my screen. So it looks like the way I've got it set up is pretty much perfect for how it will display the data. So from here at that time, direct for that cost, it will take that long going to there, arriving at that time. Does it give the airline as well? I assume it will.
I assume it would. Yeah, let me just check here. All the way at the top, airline code LX. So yes, it does. It's just a matter of what does LX mean? And being that it's going from the airport LHR, what airport is that? LHR is
Swiss.
Heathrow.
What? No, what is it?
It is Heathrow Airport for the Heathrow. How do you say that? I'm American.
I had Swiss International Airlines for LX.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I looked at the airport, not.
Oh yeah, sorry. LAX is Los Angeles. LHR is Heathrow.
There we go. Okay. Yes, Swiss. Alex would be Swiss.
Okay.
Does it specify that anywhere inside the API call though? Let me look because it gives us the code, which is cool. It does.
Oh yeah, but if it gives us the code, I can just look up the code and add. I mean, again, it'll be a manual bit of effort putting in all the logos, but that's fine.
No, it actually does right here. So LX, the code LX it gives us the name. So this truly does seem very easy to use. Seems pretty awesome, actually. So the only downside, of course, is that on the free plan, you're given 100 credits. And then you would have to spend, and it already subtracted 1 in this case. So you would be able to.
So that's one API search, but it's only cost 1 credit to do the search. So it's not per result, it's per search, which is great.
Yeah.
But if we go back to that's just a sample one though. So if we go back to the pricing, I don't think we can do any of them on the cheapest plan, can we?
We are flight price. We wouldn't be given the flight price or the one way or the round trip.
So what can you do with the like one?
You can check the flight. You can see airline routes, and that's about it. Yeah, not awesome. Not awesome. Yeah, and the unfortunate part is that Google typically, would be free, obviously. Let's do free flights.
Because that API looks great, but obviously I'm at a very early stage, and I mean it's only 50, 60 quid, but to do it every month and the fact that I can't book flights through that, so it's only informational as well.
Yeah. There's pricing right here. What's pricing for this guy? Let's go to this website. Can we go to this website?
Mm-hmm.
Does it not have a website?
Do you want to try Skyscanner and see what the pricing's like for that?
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. I want to take a look at.
If it exists, let's look it up.
So, okay. For the basic, you get flight alerts. What are the tiers? Huh.
So it looks like it's just the call. So it looks like you get, hang on, related endpoints. Can you click on that?
You are saying that, or you're saying, here it is. I think this is an image, actually. Oh, and it just takes us, okay, so related endpoints.
Oh, there we go.
So let's say we're at 1,000 a month on the free tier.
Yeah, but I mean, even at Mega at $69.99, that's. I'm not understanding these different. Okay, so.
To be honest, they do not have this set up well.
Yeah, because I'm not understanding, because you've got the different tiers down the left-hand side, but you've also got the pricing along the top. So. Because I mean, $19.99 a month is fine. Right, I'm happy to pay that. But
so let's say we go for the 15,000 a month at the hard limit for tier 1. Of course, it would do this again.
That's what I mean. It just redirects you back to that.
So we would get airport. We'd get the airport local time. But do we get flight data? Well, it does look like we get flight data down here. It specified that we get it for 180 days, plus or minus 180 days.
Do we get like prices and flight durations, or is this just like airport flights, leaving this airport, landing at this airport? Also, look at the latency. Also, look at the latency at the top. It's quite slow.
Well, we have the flight status. I
don't think it does. I think this is just an aircraft tracker.
Okay. Which one did you want me to look up?
I think Skyscanner is the most well-known one, right? It might be a bit. Yeah.
Skyscanner has a GitHub. Okay. Well, let's go there. Let's see what they have here.
Oh God, you need to contact us. That's probably one.
Yeah, you got to contact them. Here, let me just double check because it is it free? Ooh, okay. Well, you may want to contact them. So you get flight browse prices, live prices. You get hotel live prices as well. I know that you said you were using different requests for that, but
oh no, I mean if it exists to do hotels for it, that's great. I just meant I can use different one for hotels to flights if necessary.
Yeah, no worries. But I mean, it does look pretty straightforward where so the cool thing about this is, and I showed this in another office hours, if we're given a curl, we're actually able to take this curl. We're able to go to import another call from curl, and boop, just like that.
Oh shit!
Yep, and yes, that's so cool. Now the thing is, you will have to make this dynamic. So you would be using things like that, of course. That's probably not the way it needs to be set up. It's probably a little different. They give it to you sort of like this already, right? So browse the quotes. It is after API services. So we would go, oh yeah, just like this.
So I assume they keep their API free then, but they earn commissions through everything that's booked through their API, right? So I just need to request access, fill in the criteria. See, this is the thing. If I just show you what I'm seeing on my screen here for their application process, I don't know if I'm going to get accepted because it says how many monthly active users do you have? Like, I don't know if they're only going to give this to people with lots of active users.
I would be inclined to believe that they would give it to people with less than a certain amount, to be honest. I think that you would probably find success because it's a free service. Somebody's paying for it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I couldn't tell you, how are they collecting their data? How are they making money? It may be that, they are collecting their data and making their money by, the amount of users. But also, if you say, this is a growing website, we're going to launch, we want to implement this service, they may absolutely be down to allow you to do it too. You won't know until you try, truly.
That's true. I'll give it a go because okay. So we're happy that API has everything we need. It looks relatively simple set up. So that's probably the best one to apply for at least then. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. Goodness. Yeah. It's free. Whew, take it and run.
Definitely. All right, cool. Let's do that. Polly, I've run over like about 30 minutes. Are you good to do one other or?
Yeah, sure. I'm here. Let's do it.
Okay, this one's slightly more complex. I've applied for this one and been accepted to it. It's for rail travel, to add that in. So they've given me, this is National Rail for UK. So I want to get basically the timetable, which is that one there, but I have no idea how to use this thing.
All right. So let's look at it together.
Yep. Like.
Cool. Yeah. I see. It looks like it's a HTTP, of course, not a problem. We are using an Oauth token. I wonder if that's converted to base64. I'm thinking out loud because typically that looks like to me a basic authentication call, where you have your email and then you have it looks like your.
Yeah, so I've got an email and password for this, but I tried it with email and password and it wouldn't work. But I probably just set it up wrong.
Yeah, no, actually, this doesn't look like a basic auth at all. This is the Oauth token as specified in your header. So you would do a self-handled, where in the header you would put the Oauth token. And then similar to how it's set up, you would take your email, : it looks like that would be the client ID, : and then I believe it would be the secret. So yeah, we're in trains. Perfect. Okay. Let's add a header.
Yep.
And we're going to do what is specified. I think that was Oauth. You want to go back to your documentation? And then we're taking Oauth token. We're taking that part right there.
With the colon?
Nope, not with the colon, just that. What we're doing is moving to after office hours. So if you have any sensitive information, we'll help you off camera.
Sorry, Cameron. Before you say that, shall I stop sharing my screen with all the API stuff on? Because otherwise you're going to have to scrub this as well.
No, well, I mean, it doesn't matter too much. All right, guys. Until next time, you all have a great one. Take care.